Well, good afternoon, YouTube. This is Chuck. As you can tell, today I'm coming to you from the van. It's actually a little warm in here today. I tried to do it with the door open, but the light's wrong, so we'll try to shoot it like this and hope it comes out all right. Yeah. Today I was trying to figure out what kind of a video to bring you, and I've got another Bigfoot shirt on today. This is my partner Kevin's channel, Arizona Squatch. Go check that out when you get a chance if you're interested in the subject matter. But the other day I filmed a video about meeting a Sasquatch person named Larasa, and I thought I'd kind of talk a little bit more about that, what happened that summer, and tell you about a couple other encounters that I had where I got names. And these actually happened before the one in Larasa. This happened in early May of 2021. And we decided to go to take the trailer and go up to Southwest Colorado for a week. And as I told you in the other video, you know, we were like everybody else. And in 2020, we stayed home and hid because of COVID. But we made several trips in 2021. And the first one of the season was in early part of May. And we went up to Colorado, and our plan was to spend a couple of days around Cortez and a couple of days around Durango and a couple of days around Pagosa Springs. And that's what we did. So it wasn't really, I didn't really go up there. It wasn't a Sasquatch trip. That wasn't my plan. But let me tell you what happened. We got, after we stayed a couple of nights over by Cortez, we went over to Durango and went up north of Durango up into the Animas Valley. And the Animas Valley is on the road to just north of town, and it's on the road toward Silverton. And beautiful little valley there, and there's 2 or 3 RV parks along in there. And one of them was one we actually worked at for part of a summer in 1998. And the name of the park's called the Alpen Rose. And its claim to fame, I guess, is that it's on the west side of the highway, so you're away from the highway noise and you're away from the train track noise, but you can still see the train and you can still see the highway. And it was a pretty nice place when we worked there. And I'll do a video sometime and tell that story. But anyway, we hadn't stayed there since that time, so we thought, well, what the heck? As long as we're in the neighborhood, let's go ahead and check in there for a couple of days, and we'll see. We'll just just enjoy it and see what the place is like and what kind of changes are made. And so as far as changes, obviously it's way more expensive than it used to be. Holy cow! But they'd added a few more spaces here and there, and they took out the in-ground pool and put in an above-ground pool. And other than that, it looked pretty much the same way it did when we worked there. But the Animas Valley, it's about maybe a half a mile wide and several miles long. And on the west side of it, there's red rock cliffs that go up about 100 feet. And they're straight up. There's no trails or roads or anything going up there. There are roads to get to the back side of it, but you got to go back toward town a ways. And then there's a Forest Service road that goes back in behind it. But there's no easy access from the valley floor to the top of the cliffs. Well, I was sitting there at, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was second evening we were there, and I'm looking at the cliffs, and I'm thinking, if the forest people wanted to watch what was going on in the valley, that'd be the absolutely ideal spot for them to do that. And a little bit later, I was walking the dog. I was out in the meadow area looking back on those cliffs, and I kind of wondered about half out loud to myself. I said, I wonder if you people are ever up there and watching all what the humans are doing down in the valley. And I immediately got a response, just immediate. And so I went back and I asked for a name, and the name I was given was Timothy. Well, Timothy was, I believe, was probably a young adult. I don't think his name was really Timothy. I think that was just a nickname he picked up just to tell me something. But it was just an instant. Well, I talked back and forth to Timothy for about 10, 15 minutes, which is about what you normally get out of these folks. And I thought that was pretty darn cool. And he kind of acknowledged that, yeah, they like to sit up there and watch what the humans are doing and look at the traffic and watch the trains and all that kind of stuff. And which is pretty much what we believe they like to do. Well, Timothy left, and later on that evening, he was back, and this time I guess he brought a bunch of family members or something, because I got the whole sense of excitement and thing that, holy cow, there's a human down there that knows we're here, and that same thing that I've talked to you about before. And I thought that was pretty cool, but we had to leave the next day. So the next day we drove over to Pagosa Springs, and I'd never been to Pagosa Springs. I rode through there on a motorcycle. But Pagosa Springs is a rapidly growing little town, and it's just on the west side of a well-known mountain pass called Wolf Creek Pass. And there's like a lot of the Colorado towns. It's a lot of Texans are moving in there, a lot of Californians are moving in there. And Pagosa Springs is made up of two sections. There's the bottom part, the old part, it's right down by the river. And then most of the newer part of town is built up on the flats up above. And they're separated by probably a couple of miles. Well, there's one RV park that's actually located within the city limits of Pagosa Springs, and it's an old one, and we checked in there for a couple of days. And so the first night, I didn't think much of it. And so the next day, we went for a drive. We drove up Wolf Creek Pass, and up near the top on the west slope, so it'll be on your right going up there, there's a beautiful waterfall with a nice little pull-off called Treasure Falls. And so we stopped there and did the tourist thing and took some pictures. I'll put a picture of the falls on for the thumbnail in this video. But we drove on up to the top of the mountain pass over the other side to the ski area, and then turned around and came back. And as we were coming back past Treasure Falls, I noticed that the hillside just to the south of it was a long, heavily wooded hillside that went way up onto the mountain. And so I remember I was driving along in the truck, highway speed, and I'm thinking to myself, this looks like a good place for you to live, and it's a pretty place. I wonder if any of you live here. And I immediately got back, very clear mind speak. I got, of course we do. And it startled me. So I went ahead and invited whoever it was. Well, we're staying at the RV park down in town, and if you want to come down and see me later on, that'd be fine. I think that'd be wonderful. And so we drove on down, and sure enough, that evening, had one show up. I felt that I was sitting outside, and I immediately felt the "Hi, we're here" tingle, and I responded out to him, and I asked him his name. He told me his name was TR. And I said, like the initials TR? And he says, TR Teddy Roosevelt. And I thought that was pretty funny. And once again, I don't think that's his real name. I think that was just a nickname that he uses, and probably uses when he deals with humans, or maybe he just used it for the one-time deal with me. I don't know. But TR and I had a nice visit for probably, 15, 20 minutes or so. He told me he was 27 years old. And right next to the RV park, there was a little area of undeveloped land that was pretty heavily wooded, and I think that's where he was at. And so anyway, I had two visits from two different people. Never saw anything. I had very, very definite mind speak, got names, and that's kind of what happens. And that particular summer, as I told you in the other video, I had contacted and got names in 6 different western states. And I'm going to tell you about the rest of them in other videos, but I think this is probably enough for right now. So I met one named Timothy. I didn't get his age. And I met one that called himself TR. And I got kind of a kick out of that when I asked him if TR was just the initials, because I'd never heard of one that just used initials before. And what he said was TR, like Teddy Roosevelt. And I thought that was pretty funny. So with that, I'll let you go. Be good to each other. Take care of each other. It's kind of hot in the van today. I didn't want to shoot I should have shot in the man cave. It's cooler in there. But it's up in the low 80s today, and it's probably 90 plus sitting in here in the van. So with that, I'll let you go. Take care of yourselves. I will be back again as soon as I can with another one. I'm feeling just a little bit better, but certainly I'm not winning any prizes for how good I feel right now. So with that, I'm going to turn it around so I can find the button. Old Squatchy over there, he's a little bit upset. He wants to go somewhere in the worst way, and he said, this van hasn't started now in 12 days, and, I'm getting a little bit antsy, and I tell him, well, I am too. And so we'll talk to you again on another one pretty quick.